I'm Alina at Chili Piper. I'm co-founder and co-CEO, and today I'm happy to have next to me Tim from Directive. We're going to talk about how to create content that gets interest from your buyers on LinkedIn and why not on TikTok. I'm curious, what do you think is the biggest skill that makes a content creator most successful?
I think it is unique to every person because everyone can have their own different things that they're good at. I think for me, it's being creative. So I'm a very big believer that you don't have to be better, but you have to be different. And for me, just taking different scenarios and putting a creative spin on it has been very helpful for me. So I think that's at least for me, the biggest skill I needed to learn and get comfortable with. I would say overall, it's just being consistent. Because there's so many people that just do it and then they stop. But being long-term consistent is how you actually win, or whatever you want to define to it. But that consistency is so important.
Amazing insight. I started posting maybe 3 months ago, myself more consistent. And I can see that it's very hard to be consistent because life happens and you get into so many other things that take priority. But then you take those moments and then each moment teaches you something else. And then each week you might get 1% better and then 1% better to learning to be a better writer or a better producer or a better storyteller or a better interviewer, right? And it all adds up, all the little moments.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know you just mentioned life gets in the way. The consistency, the long-term consistency is just so important because things are gonna get in the way, right? You can take a week off, but if you keep doing it, it's fine. A lot of people will do it every day and be consistent, but then they stop after a month because something happens. It's that long-term consistency is so important.
Since you you create content for marketers who are also creating content, so you're marketing to marketers. Yep. How do you approach content creation for an audience that's kind of learned to tune out?
You have to be creative. You have to stick out, right? A lot of B2B has pretty much the same messaging, right? And it's very typically boring. Not all, but some is. So you got to figure out a way to disrupt how they're scrolling through their feed, right? And that could be through comedy. That could be being authentic. That could be just something that's even I've tried misspellings in ads, and it works because it's different. It's something you have to be different, and you have to make them jealous, because you're marketing to marketers. If they're jealous of your advertising, your content, that's what they want you to do. So you got to be different and do things that are sticking out that way.
Interrupting patterns.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And how do you find ways to interrupt their patterns? Where do you find your creative moments?
Yeah, a lot of times it's looking at something and putting your own spin on it. So that could be looking at Seinfeld and taking a skit from it and actually putting that towards the B2B and what your product actually does. I would say it's actually putting spins on things based on your background of what you know, but also what your buyer actually is experiencing.
I'm curious if you see any differences in your buyers and how they've changed behavior in the past 2 quarters this year.
Yeah, I think it's, everyone can see the writing on the wall. There is something going on with the economic climate. Budgets are being cut, or they're staying the same, where they usually increase with the goals, or people are getting let go, so they have actually less bandwidth within their team. So a lot of times it's really about focusing in on what's working towards the revenue and pipeline, the metrics that they really care about, and then not worrying about the other stuff. No shiny objects. It's really focusing in and dialing in on the certain things that are actually driving the revenue and pipeline, because the budgets are getting cut. It's just how it is.
I'm wondering if there's anything else that marketers can look at through their funnel, especially coming from account-based targeting or a segmented approach to that of LinkedIn, that you think that's number one thing that people forget about?
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget about past the advertising, but also like their buying process. Like how does your demo form look? How does your contact us page look? What does that form actually look like? Are they going to a scheduling link? Are they going to the thank you page that says 24 to 48 hours, we'll reach out, which don't get me started on that. But then like, what does that buying process also look like? Are they sending them right to an SDR? Do you have advertising and content that actually educates them as they're through the buying process? There's a lot of low-hanging fruit in there. Some of it seems obvious, but if you look at most of the market, it's not.
It's interesting to me that there's not more attention to that. I think that traditionally people have been focusing their marketing budgets in different ways. Now people pay more attention because it's all about efficiency. And hopefully that trend will continue where we get each other better to optimize fully the customer experience, because we're a customer at the time and it's painful to buy. What are some of the things that you wish you knew as a marketer to be more efficient yourself in your role?
I think it would be thinking outside of the box, or even just being more focused on one thing. I know sometimes we can all, as marketers, love this idea of this strategy that's like, oh, this platform, and they're gonna go here, then they're gonna go to there, and it's like this map of how they're gonna buy. It's just not how it is. People don't buy towards like a bottom to the top type of funnel. So like thinking more about like the creativity, the actual messaging in your copying is just a lot more important than this strategy this looks like a map.
How are you measured right now? How do you know if you're successful yourself?
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, I'm measured on overall revenue and pipeline. That said, luckily I do have a CEO and an exec team that doesn't want to look at everything directly attributed. We have some programs that are like that in the direct response, but for like content and things like that, we do have like the how did you hear about us field, but we also listen to, we use Gong for like sales calls, and we have triggers set up so you can hear what people say, and you'll hear that. You'll hear them mention certain content or certain things that we're doing. So at the end of the day, it's revenue and pipeline, but I can look at qualitative features to say like, all right, this is driving this and this is helping with this, even though it's not directly attributed.
Tim, you've been very active on TikTok. I know that you're trying that as a channel for your audience. How is it working for you?
I would say it's working great. You can't attribute anything to it, but I do have LinkedIn DMs, which is not TikTok DMs, but they say they come from TikTok. I also have a link tree, so I can like see where people come from. I get a lot of people that click on the TikTok or the LinkedIn link from TikTok. Mm-hmm. So I know that like B2B buyers are coming from that. Mm-hmm. Nothing can be attributed to TikTok, but I do get the qualitative feedback. So in my mind, it's great, and for my creativity and actually learning how to use the platform, I think it's much needed, and I'm not going to stop.
How did you ever run any ads on your TikToks, on your videos?
I've gotten into that a little bit. The targeting on TikTok is just not well for the B2B right now. So it's pure brand, and it's hard to say if it's even, I don't know if I want to spend a ton of money on it. It's a trial right now. The targeting is just not there yet. So it's hard to say if it's working any well.
It's hard for people like us who have a very niche customers that we're going after, and you cannot do any segmentation there, and you just like spray and pray a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
And how do you measure results from it outside of the DMs that you get? Do you also measure some other type of success metrics like follows or engagements or?
Yeah, I do look at those kind of metrics. They're not the end all be all. I do think they'll just come from things like even like followers. I don't have a lot of followers on TikTok, but I do get the qualitative feedback, whether it's the LinkedIn DM or if it's even people come to Directive's website and put in the field, how did you hear about us field.
And how do you focus your content strategy there? How do you think about it?
So it's a little bit more fun than LinkedIn. I can actually use both the content for the most part, except for small changes on both platforms. So that actually makes it a lot easier for me to use both. But on TikTok, there's a lot more, I'll do more trends, a lot more like just quick videos. Like there's some days, and this was very hard to do, but I'll do like 7 a day. And they're just like me walking and talking. I wouldn't really do that on LinkedIn. I think I put a little bit more effort in the texts and all that. But they do work. You get the views, you get the comments from people. I mean, I've had comments from CMOs. It's very interesting to see. But luckily, I do have it set up so I can actually use the videos on LinkedIn, TikTok, and anywhere else.
What setup do you have?
For most of my content creation, it's my phone and a speaker. I do have a camera. Bought the camera. Using my phone most of the time still.
And then how do you upload it to edit? That just directly from my photo?
Yeah, so everything's pretty much on my phone. Film from that, I use an app called CapCut where I do the editing. It's pretty good. TikTok's editor's pretty good too, but it's just not as, I like CapCut a lot better too because of the music and things like that. And then from CapCut, download it, and then I can upload it to all the platforms.
I see. I didn't think about CapCut. Do you do Instagram also, or you don't do Instagram?
I do pretty much everything now, but I don't focus much on it. It's more of like I'll take the TikTok video, download it without the watermark, put it on Instagram, YouTube Shorts. Those are like my betas, right? Those like things I'm playing around with, and I'll post it to it, but I won't spend much time on. TikTok and LinkedIn's where everything's going pretty good, so I focus on that. And then I'm trying out the others, just because I don't want to be stuck in one platform either.
Yeah, and then
something's going to happen, always does.
Yeah. We're not sure. LinkedIn is not evolving in creator tools, and TikTok, we don't know if the US government is going to ban. So
yeah, that could be a Vine, and that can just be gone in a second.
It was a pleasure talking to you and having you today. I'm privileged to learn from people who are such experimenters like you to see what works, and hopefully as you figure out, you're going to share it with us more, especially on the TikTok front. And we're happy to have you as a customer as well, and hope to do more things with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.